You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. Friedrich Nietzsche. What if procrastination isn't laziness, but a kind of fear disguised as fatigue? You tell yourself you're lazy. You label it every day. Unmotivated, inconsistent, weak-willed. You stare at the task, then scroll for hours. You make lists you never follow. And each time you fail to start, the voice in your head whispers the same verdict. You're just lazy. But you're not. Laziness is a convenient lie, a shallow label slapped onto something far more complex. Because when you dig deeper, procrastination isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing everything else. Distracting, avoiding, overthinking, anything to not face what actually matters. So the real question is, what are you avoiding? You don't delay because you're careless. You delay because starting means committing. It means you can fail. It means someone might see you trying. And nothing exposes your inner doubts like giving your best and still falling short. That's the fear hiding beneath your laziness. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But when you lose your why, the how becomes unbearable. Every task becomes a burden. Every action feels heavy. You don't lack discipline. You lack a reason to endure discomfort. And that's what procrastination really is. A disconnect between your actions and your meaning. You tell yourself the job is boring. The deadline is too far. The results are uncertain. But deep down, you're waiting for the perfect moment, when motivation strikes, when clarity arrives, when you feel ready. That moment never comes, because procrastination doesn't end when life becomes easier. It ends when you stop believing the lie that it's just about willpower. You don't need more motivation. You need truth. You need to stop calling yourself lazy and start asking better questions. What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? What would happen if I actually did the thing? Face those questions, and the fog begins to clear. You're not resisting the task. You're resisting what the task represents. Procrastination often feels like laziness, but what if it's actually fear with a mask on? Not the obvious kind, not the panic in your chest kind. This fear is quiet, civilized, rational. It tells you things like, you'll start after lunch. You're just tired. You need a better plan first. It wears the voice of reason, but underneath, it's fear of exposure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. Every time you avoid a task, you're not avoiding the action. You're avoiding the emotion that comes with it. Starting the project means confronting the possibility of failure. Studying means realizing you don't know enough. Writing means facing the silence of your own thoughts. You're not afraid of the doing. You're afraid of what the doing might reveal. This is why most procrastination isn't about effort. It's about identity. Somewhere deep inside, your mind has linked effort to pain. Because if you try your hardest and fail, there's nothing left to blame. If you give everything and still fall short, it confirms the one thing you secretly fear, that you're not good enough. So instead, you delay. Not because you're weak, but because delay gives you an exit. If you don't give your all, you always have an excuse. You can always say, I could have done better if I had more time. That's not laziness, that's self-preservation, but it's also a cage. Nietzsche believed that truth is not for the faint of heart. That strength is measured by your ability to face what hurts. And that includes the truth about yourself, especially the parts you bury. So stop asking when you'll feel ready. You won't. Start despite the fear. Let the discomfort reveal who you are and who you refuse to be anymore. If this content makes sense to you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you. You say you're procrastinating, but have you ever named what you're actually avoiding? Because it's not just a task on your calendar. It's something deeper, something quieter, something you're almost ashamed to admit. Maybe it's the fear of not being smart enough, or the dread of sitting alone with your own thoughts, or the anxiety of knowing that once you start, you can't pretend anymore. This isn't about productivity hacks. It's about the lies you've learned to live with. Lies like, I work better under pressure. I just need more motivation. Tomorrow will be different. Nietzsche would call this what it really is. Cowardice dressed as logic, a refusal to look at yourself without the mask. You've built entire belief systems to protect your identity from discomfort. And now that discomfort controls you. You delay the hard things because they threaten the fragile version of yourself you've spent years defending. And here's the truth most people will never tell you. Breaking the cycle of procrastination isn't about time management. It's about character. The problem isn't the task. The problem is how you've decided to relate to it. You see it as a threat, a mirror, a judgment. But the task doesn't care. Only you do. And until you name the real fear behind your delay, you'll keep running in circles, calling it perfectionism or lack of energy or waiting for the right time. But the right time doesn't exist. The only real shift comes when you catch the fear in the act. When you feel the pull to delay and ask, what am I protecting myself from right now? What feeling? What belief? What secret? Say it. Out loud. Call it by its name. Because when fear remains unnamed, it rules you. But when you face it, something breaks. Not the fear, the illusion that it ever had power in the first place. And that's when you're finally free to act, not because the fear is gone, but because it no longer decides who you are. Discipline doesn't begin with a plan. It begins with a point of no return. Most people fail because they keep an escape route open, a backup, a softer option. They try to change their lives while still holding on to the old one. But you can't outrun procrastination if you're still negotiating with comfort. Nietzsche believed that transformation demands destruction, not chaos for the sake of chaos, but a conscious burning of what no longer serves your will. He wrote, "He who cannot command himself must obey." And you've obeyed your comfort long enough. You've tried schedules. You've tried motivation. You've written goals in fancy notebooks. But none of that matters if you're still emotionally invested in the version of you that avoids the hard things. Discipline requires violence, not against others, against your excuses, against your justifications, against the fragile identity that says, I'm just not that type of person. Burn it. If you want to show up consistently, stop making failure optional. Stop treating your goals like suggestions. Decide, truly decide that going back is no longer on the table. You don't need more information. You need to take away the exit sign. Think of the general who crosses the sea with his army, then burns the ships. There's no going back. Only forward. That's what commitment looks like. That's what real inner power demands. Until you remove your ability to retreat, you will never know what you're capable of. Because comfort will always seduce you. It will whisper that it's not the right time, that you deserve a break, that you've been good enough already. And as long as you listen, it will own you. You don't escape that trap by being gentle. You escape by lighting a fire behind you. So the next time you say, I want to change, ask yourself, what part of me must die for that to be true? And then kill it. Motivation is a lie you've been sold. A modern religion for those who fear discipline, an illusion dressed in productivity quotes and dopamine spikes. You wait for it like a divine wind to push you forward, but when it doesn't come, you do nothing. That's not ambition, that's dependency. Nietzsche would have laughed at the idea of waiting to feel like acting. He understood something modern, self-help refuses to admit. The will to power doesn't ask for permission from emotion. It commands action, no matter how uninspired, how tired, how uncertain you feel. Because greatness isn't built in the mood. It's built in defiance of the mood. You don't conquer procrastination by feeling ready. You conquer it by becoming someone who acts whether you feel ready or not. Look around. Most people are slaves to energy, to moods, to caffeine. They check their emotional weather forecast before they move. If it looks cloudy, they cancel everything. But what if you stopped asking how you feel and just did it anyway? What if you treated action like breathing, non-negotiable, automatic, elemental? This is the difference between discipline and motivation. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it?" Discipline says, "It doesn't matter." You've spent years making your inner state the deciding factor. But here's the hard truth. Your feelings are liars. They reflect the past, not your potential. They serve your comfort, not your calling. Stop giving them a vote. You want to be consistent? Then act when it's inconvenient. Create when it's uncomfortable. Move when it hurts. That's where the transformation happens. Not when it's easy, but when it costs something. You're not lazy. You're just still worshiping the wrong God. Motivation is a false idol. And the longer you bow to it, the further you drift from who you were meant to become. Burn the altar. Build discipline in its place. Most people wait for motivation like it's rain in the desert. They stand still, hoping it will suddenly pour down and flood them with purpose. But motivation is not rain, it's a mirage. The more you chase it, the more lost you get. Nietszche would have laughed at the modern obsession with waiting for the right mindset. He knew that greatness never came from a spark of inspiration. It came from structure, from will, from deliberate repetition, from building the kind of life where you don't need to feel ready, you just move. If you want to kill procrastination, stop chasing moods. Stop treating discipline like a mood swing. Discipline is not emotional, it's architectural. You don't feel your way into building a cathedral. You lay bricks, day after day, stone by stone, without asking the sky for permission. This is the root of your problem. You think you need to feel something before doing something. You think you need to be in the zone to start. You think your emotions should match your ambitions. You think if it feels boring, it must be wrong. That's a lie, and it's ruining your future. Nietszche didn't believe in laziness. He believed in people lying to themselves. He believed most people are capable of greatness, but they've been told to wait until they feel confident, to wait until life calms down, to wait until it's convenient. But waiting is the religion of the weak. The strong don't wait for a good day. They create structure that survives bad ones. That's what a ritual is. A ritual is a discipline in disguise. It's a non-negotiable habit, done at the same time, in the same way, regardless of how you feel. It strips emotion from action. It replaces chaos with rhythm. It removes choice so you can focus on doing. Think of the strongest people you know, not the loud ones, the consistent ones. The ones who don't skip when it's hard, who don't need to hype themselves up every morning, who don't burn out because they never run on adrenaline to begin with. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. You need a morning ritual, not to optimize your day, but to declare war on chaos. You need a focus ritual, not to feel productive, but to remind your brain that action is sacred. You need an evening ritual, not to relax, but to end your day with the same intention you started it with: control. These rituals aren't glamorous. They're often silent, repetitive, and boring. But boring is the secret. Every time you resist boredom, you strengthen your addiction to stimulation. Every time you flee from repetition, you deepen your fear of mastery. Greatness is boring. Mastery is boring. Discipline is boring. And if you can't fall in love with boring, you'll always stay mediocre. This is where most people give up. They do a new habit once or twice, then say, "It's not for me." They wait to feel like it. They binge another video. They journal about their goals. They read productivity books. But they never build rituals. They confuse preparation with progress. You don't need another plan. You need a pattern. Nietzsche believed that repetition wasn't a curse, it was a test. He asked Amal, if you had to live the same life over and over for eternity, would you be proud of it? That's what your ritual is. It's your rehearsal for eternity. So stop designing your life around inspiration. Design it around inevitability. Build habits so automatic they ignore your doubts. Create routines so rigid they make laziness irrelevant. Choose actions so consistent that no mood can interrupt them. And when you fail, and you will, don't start over. Restart the ritual, return to the rhythm, re-enter the pattern. Because that's all discipline really is, returning faster. You won't always be perfect. You won't always be strong. But if your rituals are solid, you don't need to be. You just need to show up. That's the quiet truth about winners. They're not better than you. They're just more predictable. They've made excellence automatic. They've trained their lives to operate on rails, not feelings. So if you want to stop procrastinating, stop trying to be inspired, be mechanical, be repetitive, be ritualistic, because hope is fragile. Emotion is volatile. Motivation is a liar. But rituals? Rituals don't care how you feel. They only care that you return. You procrastinate not because you're lazy, but because you've been trained to avoid pain. Every time you delay something hard, it's not about time management. It's about your relationship with discomfort. And right now, discomfort owns you. You flinch at it. Run from it. Negotiate with it. Make deals with your demons just to postpone the burn. But Nietzsche would say that burn is the only thing that can forge you into something real. The modern world has sold you a lie, wrapped in convenience, comfort, and endless dopamine. A lie that says suffering is bad, struggle is a mistake, and pain is failure. And because you believed it, you've become weak in the face of your own greatness. Nietzsche's answer wasn't kindness. It was confrontation. He believed in the flame, the trial, the hammer. Not because he was cruel, but because he understood transformation. What does not kill me makes me stronger is not a motivational quote. It's a warning. If you avoid what kills you too long, you will rot from within. Procrastination is decay disguised as rest. It's passive self-destruction. Every time you escape discomfort by scrolling, avoiding, delaying, you tell your nervous system, I am not ready. And your brain believes you. So it lowers the bar, shrinks your courage, reduces your capacity. This is how weakness becomes your new identity. But Nietzsche gives you a way out, not by eliminating pain, but by choosing it. Not by making life easy, but by declaring war on ease. Not by avoiding discomfort, but by worshiping it. This is the final reprogramming. To love discomfort, to chase it, to treat resistance not as a signal to stop, but as a compass that shows you exactly where to go. You must invert your instinct. Where it says wait, you act. Where it says hide, you speak. Where it says later, you move now. This is not motivation. This is will. This is the Übermensch, the one who creates values instead of inheriting them. The one who doesn't need external validation to act. The one who chooses discomfort like a god, because he knows it is sacred. If you want to stop procrastinating, you need to stop asking yourself how you feel. Ask instead, what would the strongest version of me do right now? And then do it, badly, slowly, scared, but do it anyway. You are not here to wait. You are not here to please your fears. You are not here to optimize your comfort. You are here to create, to build, to climb. And that mountain won't move for you. You must move toward it. Every day. Especially when it hurts. Build a life where your discomfort becomes your compass, where you lean into tension, where resistance is a gift because it means you're growing, where pain is not the price, but the path. If you wait until it's easy, you'll die waiting. If you wait until it's comfortable, you'll never arrive. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be stuck at the beginning forever. You were not made to be ready. You were made to become. And that becoming demands your struggle. So wake up tomorrow and do the hardest thing first. Choose the task you fear. Walk into the cold. Speak the truth you've been avoiding. Build the habit you've failed to keep. Discipline is not built in comfort. It's born from friction. And when you stumble, smile. Because pain means you're no longer dead inside. It means you're back in the game. It means you're no longer watching life from the sidelines. You're bleeding for something. That is how you kill procrastination. You make it irrelevant. You rewire your soul to treat discomfort like fuel. You stop trying to escape the fire, and you become it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now, because if you don't choose the pain of discipline, you will inherit the pain of regret. And one day, that pain will come with a whisper. You could have been more. Don't let that be your story. Choose discomfort. Choose action. Choose becoming. Every damn day.